Good Tuesday morning. This is Hosea. Now he jumps to the 8th chapter. There's a different tone here, you see, because the allurement of the second chapter, okay, now you see not the wrath of God, but the divine frustration. This is God complaining that he has been rejected, okay? And hence, he's hurt, and to a degree, he's angry, okay? Well, I'll read it to you. Thus says the Lord, they made kings in Israel, but not by my authority. They established princes, but without my approval. See? They become secularized. He's talking about the people of God, the people of Israel. See what he's talking about, the Israelites. With their silver and gold, they made idols for themselves to their own destruction. Cast away your calf, O Samaria. My wrath is kindled against them. My wrath. See? How long will they be unable to attain innocence in Israel? The work of an artisan, no God at all, destined for the flames. Such is the calf of Samaria. When they sow, this is one of the most famous lines in all wisdom literature. When they sow the wind, they shall reap the whirlwind. That's a powerful line. If you sow the wind, you'll reap the whirlwind. The stalk of grain that forms no ear can yield no flour. Even if it could, stranger would swallow it. When Ephraim's Jews made many altars to expiate sin, his altars became an occasion for sin. Though I write for him many ordinances, they are considered as strangers. Though they offer sacrifice, immolate flesh, and eat it, the Lord is not pleased with them. He shall still remember their guilt and punish their sins, and they shall return to Egypt. See, back to slavery. In a lot of ways, you don't have to be the Lord for that to understand that. He who sows, how's he saying? Yeah, he who sows come on, where did I read that? Come on, when you sow the wind, you'll reap the whirlwind. You get what you pay for. You build habits, and you will reap the fruits of your habits. He's right. You don't have to be a poet or a genius to know that. All you have to know is a little bit about human nature, the human condition. That's why it's so important when we're raising our children, when we're teaching our children, that we teach them not just facts, but virtue. That we help them shape their hearts. They've got to shape it themselves, but we help them shape their hearts so that they will want to do, and they will habitually do, from the heart, what goodness is required of them, what the good is. I mean that. The ancients really understood, I told you that 100 times, understood how important virtue was in civilized life. That's the genius of Plato. That's the whole point of the Republic. His masterpiece, one of the greatest pieces of literature ever conceived in Western culture, the Republic. Yeah, it's the whole point. You have to have virtue. Without virtuous citizenry descends into anarchy and chaos. And that's one of the dangers we still have. We have law, but do we have virtue? We have external obedience, but do we have the obedience of the heart? Are we committed to each other? Are we just staying out of trouble, deciding, keeping your nose clean? Or are we actually forming and building a new and better society? Are we simply innocent family, spouses, or are we actively faithful to each other? Are we just passively faithful? In other words, we don't get in trouble? Or do we pursue the good in our spouse, the good in our children? See? Are we actively virtuous in living our lives? See? Or in some other way, here he's describing idolatry. Do we build idols for ourselves? Images for ourselves that are ultimately destructive, self-destructive. Idol gods, vanity. Do we pursue a vain way of life in such a manner that it closes off any form of intimacy, any form of real friendship, even any form of communion in the home. See? I think that the prophets are simply calling us back to what it constitutes the virtues of the heart. Fidelity to God, but fidelity to each other. Fidelity in all forms of life, an active fidelity where we care actively for each other and we actively promote the good of society. Not some external good, but the good of friends living together in a social arena, in the social arena. I think of that when I teach it in class. I think of that all the time. You can't just be rule keepers. That doesn't hold up. You have to love the people you're with, the society you belong to, and you have to foster it from the heart. I think that's the prophetic message. It's how we love God, but it's also how we love each other. If we really love each other, if we love the church, we foster, actively foster, given whom, what we are, and where we are, the good of the other. We seek the flourishing of our families, our friends, the church, our nation. I mean that. I mean that. It's not just servile obedience. It's anything but that. It's an active desire to make things better. You know, I told you what the old monk said about one of our guys who died. He was a pleasure to live with. Remember I told you that after he died? That was the guy's remark in the homily. He was a pleasure to live with. He made our lives richer just by existing, just by being with us. That's what it is to be actively faithful, is to actively be part of the enrichment of the world you are called into, your family, your friends, your society. Yeah. I told you this 816 and a half times, maybe 17 times. The saddest thing for me is when a funeral, when no one cares, that a person made so little a difference. Yeah, that's sad. That nobody grieves the loss, feels it. I hope, I don't know how else to put that. That there should be, when someone passes, there should be an emptiness that's unfillable. An emptiness of love, personal love. That nothing is the same. That one quietly grieves for the person that is missing, that is now lost. It's always my homily when at a funeral. I think of the very dead very strongly. The irreplaceability of someone you have loved, whom you have faithfully loved and been faithfully loved by, and now is gone. But with the hope that we will be faithfully again together. That's the beautiful thing about the faith, that the fidelity of love is enduring forever. Love never ends. It goes on forevermore. And as a powerful hope, it's my only consolation that the love that I had in my life and have in my life will always be there, and it will always be real. That even in death, I will one day, once again, be with those I have loved and been loved by. Men of the order, my own family, my friends, the people whom God has given me as companions in this life of ours, my life, so that the narrative of my life can never be told without them. And when told with loving care and to some extent some humor, as we have walked this path together. I mean that. Somebody asked one of my colleagues, when I thought of paradise, and I said to be with my family again and with the people I have loved and been loved by. The great story that is my life with others in the active fidelity of love, active, caring after each other, making the others the centers of our lives. Isn't that neat? I think that's what the text means. I hope so anyway. I hope I haven't wasted your time. I'm serious about that. When St. Paul said love never dies, he was talking about the active fidelity of love forever.